Hey guys, I was talking away, thought I'd gone live, play the music and everything, but I don't think I actually went live. So let me just give you the little countdown. Hi guys. Hey Farid, how you doing, mate? Um, yeah, I've stepped in. I've stepped in for Baggy. Baggy was doing a stream. He's had some technical difficulties, so I decided to carry on the stream. Um, so yeah, two topics of conversation. Obviously, the main one, Kane. Breaking news: Harry Kane to Chelsea. Ooh, don't know about that one. I just actually made a video on that, so it'll be out probably later this evening. My thoughts on that. So what's your thoughts, Mikhail?
Well, kind of sort of that's
First of
I was
all,
on.
sorry, can I just say welcome to the stream, by the way? Yeah.
Thank you for having us.
Okay. Yeah.
Um, I was on the roads actually, and I just caught all these notifications from all the other Chelsea YouTubing community popping up with Kane wants a transfer, and Kane to Chelsea, and then I saw Baggy's stream had gone live while I was on the road, so I signed. I just thought he'd be talking about that news. So
Yeah.
Baggy was in the middle of discussing a lineup for tomorrow's game.
Hmm.
So so he wasn't uh, too happy with my bombing his thought process there. But anyways, I jumped in and I kind of looked at what he was doing with the lineup, and I kind of agreed that he wanted Giroud to start up front, and and,
Uh-huh.
and that. And that's something we've generally felt, that we have two strikers sitting on the bench with between Giroud and Tammy. And if we're struggling for goals, we have to try to accommodate them in the game plan somehow, right?
Yeah.
So
I agree. I agree.
it,
Definitely.
we can debate the choice of which striker to start, which one has immediate impact, which one has more long-term impact, and that's kind of sort of where the debate was at. I think Boogeyman was a little um, emotionally compromised in light of the FA Cup result, and wanted to see Tammy playing at his club no matter what.
Yeah,
So
that's the bit I came in on when he was having the
yeah, so I
heated
get it.
discussion.
I get it. We're all emotional right now, and some of us do wear our hearts on our sleeves. And I'm not gonna ridicule that at all. It's a genuine emotion. I just feel the same way he feels about Tammy. I feel about Giroud. So
Uh-huh.
so I.
Uh-huh.
I was just kind of bringing that, like, as much as anybody can argue for Tammy getting starting time, I would argue for Giroud getting starting time or game time. Forget about
Yeah.
starting. I don't care if he
Yeah.
comes off the bench,
Yeah.
but bringing with Lampard bringing him on at 83 minutes and 81 minutes consecutive games and over, it was a little disrespectful. And now I'm seeing the same happening with Tuchel bringing him on right, when the game's almost lost. Okay, throw Giroud
Hmm.
on and win it for us. It's a little disrespectful to put the striker in that kind of situation, right? So especially a striker that has by and large been left out to pasture, like hasn't really been a part of the way the team's been playing.
Yeah.
So when the chips are down, just to throw them out and say, okay, go win us the game now, it's always been in bad taste. And I've always been the proponent that unless you're trying to purposely waste time, which has also happened. Sometimes in the 88th minute, you'll see him putting on Tammy or Giroud, which is different. At that point, they're not looking for impact. They're just looking to slow the clock down a little bit and run the clock out. So in this scenario, I would say, give the striker 25, 30 minutes to make an impact on the game, right? You have to
Mhm.
you have to kind of give them the time to catch up with the pace of the game, find their touch maybe a couple of times, get their, line up get their distances right, and given the chance, Giroud can make an impact. Yes, he cannot run like he's he's never been able to run. Even when he was younger, he couldn't run.
Yeah, he was the
Um,
quickest. Yeah.
but that's not his strengths. His strengths are more about trying to like finding a way to get the ball in the back of the net, and he got a really tight angle shot off in the FA Cup game as well towards the end, and it hits the crossbar unfortunately. But it was a tight angle, like from the amount of purchase he got from that angle. It was it was a strong shot for even from a
Mhm.
weird angle. So like he has it in him. We're just not vested enough in him because he's at the end of his career, and everybody wants to see Havertz and Werner doing well because we've spent big money on them doing getting those starting spots, which is fine. Bring him on at 60, 65 minutes, 70 minutes, so that he can put in a shift and make an impact. Then I think um, there is something to be said for managing the game in maybe two halves, where you try to play Tuchel system and then try to revert to maybe a goal scoring system afterwards, and just put on a few goal scorers toward the end to kind of get a few goals on the scoreboard. Lately, we've been struggling with that. So if we're not going to get them playing possession football because of whatever the reasons are, the other teams are starting to break us down better. We don't have our best players playing. We have been mixing up the lineup too much. Like all of that factors into little margins that start getting exposed and start becoming bigger cracks in our team. So that's
Mhm.
kind of sort of. I see somebody else has joined the stream.
Yeah, Bobby's joined. Yeah,
Hey,
welcome,
Bobby.
Bobby. Yeah, yeah. So just going on from what you said with Giroud. For me, last season at the business end, who did we call on to score the goals? Giroud. You
Yeah,
can't be experienced. You can't be experienced. This team, which is a young side, were crying out for experience. And I think had Tuchel utilised him a bit more, I'm with you in this. That if he had utilised him a bit more, then we'll be getting the better out of him. When he came on against Arsenal, did you see that first shot he did when he sort of miskicked it? He was rusty, but he's kind of got back into the game when he hit the crossbar, and he's not getting enough minutes, right? That you rightly said. So he's coming on for 5 minutes here, 10 minutes there, but they need to keep him involved. He's quite a fit guy anyway. You
you
need to
said that.
keep him involved
You
so
said
that
that
when
the other
he's
day. Yep.
yeah. So that way, when it's the business end of the season, when you need your experience, he's ready, rearing to go. Yeah. So we have got by, I'd say, without a striker, but eventually it was always going to catch up on us. And what you're seeing now is catching up on us. So, and with Tammy, he's got 6 goals in the league, and he's still the leading top goal scorer or joint leading top goal scorer, which for a team sitting in fourth place is quite damning. That's like a relegation side, so you expect from someone like a Sheffield United, not a Chelsea. And so that's where the problem lies. So, Bobby, what's your thoughts, mate?
Hi guys.
Hi,
Hi.
Bobs.
Hey, Bobby.
I've just joined you a little late to catch the tail end of what I presume is a talk about Giroud and the obvious need for Chelsea to start scoring goals.
Hmm.
I have a very different view to a lot of to some people about how the team is faring. Um, I would say that in the last, 3 games, we've only, conceded 2 goals. We were beaten 1-0 whenever we were beaten. And
Mm.
that tells me nothing's wrong with the tactics. Nobody has sussed out Chelsea's tactics suddenly, and we're in this sort of huge problem. The problem is what we've always had, and that we're not scoring. Somebody's
Yeah.
going to score against us sooner or later, but what
And
we have to
Bobby,
do is outscore them.
they've been a worldie
Exactly.
in an own
One
goal,
was a
haven't they?
worldie,
Yeah.
the other was a mistake.
A mistake, sorry,
So,
Ben.
so
Yeah.
I can't have this. People have started sussing us out and all that. They haven't. I think we're far too flexible and resolute at the back for it to be that easy. What the problem is goal scoring. Now, clearly, there's a problem with the Tammy situation, so we can't expect to see him. Giroud has never been a starter at any club he's been in, and not even for his national team. He's been more or less the sort of player that you bring on when you need to. That's just how he is, especially now that he's older. Unfortunately for us now, he's the only person that is likely to score. So we have to start him at least to get us off the ground and put the ball in the net. That's just it. That's just where we are at the moment. If Tammy's not playing, we have to play Giroud until such a time as he runs out of steam in the game, and then we change him, and then hope someone like Havertz can come and score. Our problem is goal scoring. Our issue is to invest in goal scorers. I see some people making posts as to the team to play on Tuesday, and they're including Thiago Silva. I don't think we should play him. We've got enough. Our defenders are good enough. There was a big error made by Tuchel by putting Reece James in the centre back position and putting Aspie in the wing back position because he wanted to take care of Vardy. Well, Zuma can take care of Vardy. Zuma is good enough. All this talk that he's not. Zuma's a defender. It's rare to have defenders that are so good on the ball, and he's good enough on the ball. Zuma gives us other things. He's good in the air. He scores from set pieces in the air. So he's good enough, and he's good enough to take care of Vardy. Yes, he makes a mistake or two, but that's going to happen when the defense is the only source of winning games, which is wrong.
Yeah, because you know what with Zuma, what you're saying with Zuma, on the right hand side it will work. It didn't work the other day because he was on the left. Yeah,
yes.
and because he's not great at taking the ball out. Asking him to do it on his weaker foot is even harder. I've seen him on the right side, and he looks more competent on that side.
He's good enough, really.
Yeah.
And we once we sort out the goal scoring problem, we won't even notice when the odd one goal goes past us. We have to expect that, especially against a team like Man City, they're going to score. We just have to outscore them.
Agreed. Yeah, because as you said, the defense is doing their job, but when it just takes one goal to beat us, then we've got an issue. Because since under Tuchel, we've only scored Crystal Palace aside, we haven't scored more than 2 goals in any game.
Yeah,
but do you think though it's because Tuchel is trying to focus too much on the defensive side as well, that we are not so much of an attacking force? Because for instance,
it's a personnel issue. Our midfielders can't shoot. Our midfielders can't score themselves. Most effective teams playing a system like we do will have midfielders that can score. We don't have that. Poor old Tuchel is doing the best he can with what he's got. And it's not really very much, especially in the midfield. The defence is fine. I've got no problem with Chelsea's defence. I've got no problem with Chelsea's keepers, to be honest. It's the midfield that we need to deal with going, in the summer. We can't do anything about it now. The forwards is the conundrum, because our forwards should be good enough. That's the thing that just frustrates the hell out of all of us.
Yeah. And we shouldn't have a defender as joint top goal scorer, because I think Zuma's got 6 as well in the league, isn't he?
Yeah.
So we shouldn't have as a joint top goal scorer as a striker.
That says everything, doesn't it?
It does. Yeah. Cruz, mate, welcome to the show. How you doing, mate?
I'm good. How are you guys? Good.
Yeah, we're good. We're just talking about the lineup briefly tomorrow, then we'll go on to the Kane story.
Yeah.
So, what's your thoughts, first of all, on how you think the game's going to go tomorrow and who you think should be playing?
I think we should start with a natural forward. When I say natural forward, someone you can just put a chance away. So obviously I know Tammy's not in the squad. It doesn't look like he's going to be in the squad, I should say. I haven't heard Tuchel's comments. I know he's made some comments this evening, or was it late last night, or was it this evening? Was it today, I think?
It's today's press conference, yeah.
Today, I haven't seen what he said, but I think if Tammy's not in the squad, then I'd start Giroud, and then I'd bring maybe a Werner off the bench once, just to add that pace at a certain point. But I think I've seen enough of playing around with this false 9 and I understand what what everyone's saying about the midfield not scoring goals. I totally agree as well. I think it's been a problem for years, so I don't want to put the blame on Tuchel's doorstep. We've struggled for goals for the past 2-3 seasons, so it's not something new. I think it feels a bit more now, and everyone's saying he's focusing on the defense, but I think we've struggled for goals for years. Sorry, go.
Yeah, I think it's since the three, isn't it? Since we've had Kovacic, Jorginho, and what's the other guy? Kante. Yeah, because none of them give you goals from that pivot area.
Yeah, I think that's an issue, but I think the output naturally just from our forward players is not great. I think we've got a lot of players who can dribble and a good approach play, but when they get in the final third, there's just not that killer instinct, and that's what we lack. We lack a killer instinct up top. I don't think some of the guys have it. I'll be honest with you. I think I've seen enough, because again, a lot of things have been attributed to this season in terms of, I know some of the guys are fresh in the season, first time in the league. Some of them had illness, but I just think I've seen enough. I think I don't know what everyone else thinks, but I just think when you look at a player and you can just see there's certain attributes, especially for us, we've never been the best squad in the league. I don't even think. Sometimes when we've won titles, we've still not been the best team in the league. And when we've won big championships, we've never always been the biggest club in Europe. We've always had players who've done their jobs really well at good times. So like your Costas when we won the league and things like that. And then if you want to go back further to Drogba, he was never considered a prolific goal scorer, but he always did things really efficiently and at key moments for us. And I think
Drogba got 33 goals one season. I think that's proficient enough.
No, prolific. When I mean prolific, when I mean prolific, I mean in the aspect of season in, season out, scoring 30 plus goals. He didn't have that prolificness when I talk about that. Not to down talk Drogba, I'm just saying he was more of a big game player, more effective.
But that's what I'm saying. I'll give me Drogba as a big game player.
But yeah, exactly.
Than somebody who's going to just stat pad and don't do nothing when it comes to finals.
Exactly, and that's what I don't want to focus too much on stats and how many this person scored in this league and how many they can score. It's just about when it's time to score and put the ball away, do we have those players? And I look up top, I think Werner, you can see he's not a killer, he's not a ruthless striker. I think that ship's kind of sailed. I think Havertz as well, he's not a ruthless striker. He's not going to score 25, 30 goals getting in there. He might be a good link-up midfielder, but I just think we're missing that. So for tomorrow, I'll just go with a natural striker. In terms of the Reece James mistake at centre-back, I think it's sort of, we can say that's a mistake now because we didn't win the game. But I think going forward, when you've just got nothing up top, when you've got nothing happening for you, your forward players are not putting the ball away, link-up plays are not working, people are running the ball off the pitch, getting tackled so easily. All you have to do, we can keep dependent on the defence, but eventually the defence will give in. And the last few games we've kind of seen the defence has sort of given in. They cannot defend so much for so many games, and now you're starting to see mistakes creep in.
They've done well with a number of clean sheets they've kept. You know?
Yeah, I'm not sure how many of you played football at any sort of level, but if you've played football and you see if you've sort of played at the back and you see your strikers missing time after time after time after time, it puts a lot of pressure on you as a defender. You know that you've got to stay tight and just one goal. If they're doing their job up front, then it makes your life easier.
Yeah, just circle back to what Cruz was saying to add to it. A lot of the goals that Tammy scores seem to be in games where they're not critical goals, they're not crucial goals. It's like a first half goal, and then we'll go lose the other end two goals down. We'll give away goals. So there is something to be said for a striker that rises to the moment to get us the points with their goals, right? As opposed to he got 6 goals, but if we go and see how many of them were scored at the tail end of the match and got us a result, right? So I'm not, that's not a criticism on Tammy necessarily, but it's kind of sort of saying the same thing, that we're missing that player still. Even if we're playing Tammy, he's not necessarily an impact player that'll give us the big match results.
I get
he's
that.
Not yet. I'm not saying he's never going to get there. I'm just saying he's not there yet.
The closest thing to that we've got is Giroud. He can score some big goals.
I get that point. I get that point, but I think also the replacement for Tammy hasn't done that either. if you want to go back to last season, Tammy did get some big goals, did get some match-winning goals. You think about Arsenal away.
Even this season, West Ham, when
West Ham,
he was the one who scored the first couple
Yeah,
of goals
so
against West Ham this season.
I get that point. I think you're right, and I totally agree with you. I think he's not the answer per se, but if you look at how much minutes Werner's played, let's just go with Werner for now. Werner's played versus Tammy. How many games has he actually won for us? I know a lot of people are going to pull up he's won penalties and things like that, but let's be honest, we can all, once we're watching him, we can see there's something not right with this guy. And I know there's a few stats that may back him up in terms of he's won penalties and a few assists, but if we're being genuinely honest, when you're watching him, you can't say you think this guy's going to win a game for us. He doesn't look like he has that killer instinct at all.
Well, clearly Timo has a problem. You know, he gets in the right places. He does cause a lot of trouble, but his finishing is a big problem. Whether that will change, only time will tell. Tammy's problem is he has a problem with the club. You know, people keep thinking, oh, they're not playing Tammy for this reason and for that reason. And I have to say, his girlfriend coming out and writing nonsense on Twitter isn't helping anybody. I mean, if it was my girlfriend, I'd just tell her, listen, just keep your mouth shut. What are you doing? You know what I mean? That is just silly. But you know, what's she going to do? Pick the team for us now? Is you know what I mean? So that aside, but you know, he has a problem with the club. He hasn't signed a contract, and I think that's the root cause of a lot of this.
Yeah, good point you made there. Because remember Daniel Sturridge?
Yeah.
Daniel Sturridge was the same situation. Remember, they kept saying he was injured. He didn't play for us for 4 or 5 months until we sold him to Liverpool, and I think that's what we're seeing with the Tammy Abraham situation now. Yeah,
and I don't blame the club because he's an asset, and even if he wants to go, he would cost. You know, he'll be more saleable, or rather, he'll bring in more money if he has more time on his contract. I don't know why he doesn't want to sign it. The money is good, as far as I know. There's an echo coming back at me. I don't know.
That's Sadraki. Since you just joined, you just go on mute for a minute, please, and then we'll.
Yeah.
Is that better?
Know. Yeah, I don't know whether it's because, I hear the money's good. I don't know I just don't know what his problem is, to be honest. I don't see what he has to gain by not signing the contract.
What do you agree with perspective here? Yeah. Do you think it's psychological, that Chelsea perspective is saying? Or more to it?
What about him not signing?
Welcome to Babylon as well. Timo is not Premier League. And Tammy is not committed to Chelsea.
No, he's not committed.
What about Timo not being Premier League?
He's not a Premier League striker for me.
I wouldn't. I think that's premature to say that. I really do. You know, we can't ignore the circumstances with which he came to the club and all the COVID type situation. It definitely has played a part. And we've had fantastic strikers that have taken a season or two to settle in. You know, even the Chelsea legend that is Didier Drogba didn't have a great first season.
Not as bad as Werner.
But you know what, guys? You know what? What do you think about this? What do you think about this then? For me, I think he's a decent player in the right system. I've always said that. But I don't think the system that Chelsea plays suits him to get the best out of him. You know, had he been at Liverpool with Klopp, I think that he would have scored a few more goals there because they play a slightly different way. If you look at when we bought Fernando Torres, I'm not sure if you guys saw Ashley Cole speaking when they're referring to Ashley to Fernando Torres. When he first came to Chelsea, he struggled. Why? Because the way that Liverpool played, they used to have Xabi Alonso there playing, and Steve Gerrard, and they used to play long balls from deep because Torres liked to sit on the last attacker's shoulder, and he'll spin off and get a lot of space to run into, and that's what was more effective. With Chelsea, we played the ball to feet back then, and Torres struggled at Chelsea because we played more for patient build-up rather than Liverpool's fast balls into the channels. So
I
it
don't
was Eddie
think
Newton actually. It was Eddie Newton who said that.
I
So him
don't
and
think that makes a valid excuse for the sitters he misses, Matt.
Yeah, 100%.
You know,
Yeah.
he's missing practically open goals. So no matter whatever system you play, that's not going to help you.
Yeah,
You
if he
know,
was missing
he's
chances, if he was missing stuff, or he wasn't getting chances,
getting
or he looked,
chances. Then
then you would
yeah,
think, yeah, but he's missing time after time right in front of the goal.
yeah.
He's missing
yeah,
all types of chances.
but then again, just playing devil's advocate a bit, do you think it's because he's thinking about this game too much? And so, because obviously, once some parts of your game's not there, then your confidence is low. And with low confidence, you'll start missing the chances that you'll normally swallow up.
I agree. I
Is it
get what you're
something?
saying. I think that plays a factor, but I also think there's so many different like caveats we're adding to justify why this guy can't score a goal. And I think that's good of us as fans, and it's commendable from us as a fan base because we want to see him do well because he's our striker. But if we want to be really honest, he's not. I don't think there's so many things that are being added, like maybe because of this and because of the COVID times and because he might need a season. But top clubs are ruthless. Like you look at Jovic and players like that in Real Madrid. You look at players who've come in and first season they're out back on loan. Players like Liverpool over the years, one striker in, he's not doing well, they kick him out the next year. Big teams don't spend time trying to mollycoddle £50 million players, and I'm not gonna. I think he's had enough time to show it. I think the system actually kind of suits him because we are playing balls over the top. I think we've adapted to him a little bit as well.
I think
And
the reason people are bemused and looking for reasons for it is because he gets in the right positions to score and he gets to points. You know, he's right in front of open goals sometimes and misses. You know, people are thinking, what's going on here? You know, we've had strikers that there's no hope. You know, I remember when Shevchenko came after he was over the hill. And, you know, you see him take off running with someone and the defenders would leave him for dust.
Falcao's another one, wasn't it?
You know, even Torres, you know, after a while, you knew, you know, this guy, that, you know, he's just not going to do it. But
not the same player, yeah.
No, yeah, but with Werner, you're looking at somebody who is not only getting in the right positions, creating chances, but just missing things that is just unbelievable. And you just think, look, somewhere along the line, it can't get any worse. It's got to get better. And we've got to find what that is to get better. And I personally think what that guy needs is let this season run its course and come back next season and let it be a normal season. I think he'll be better, personally.
But having said that, have you seen him in the Bundesliga? I said I've seen him play in the Bundesliga, and he'd missed a lot of sitters there as well. So a lot of people thought that we're getting this guy who was prolific, but he wasn't. He scored a lot of goals, but in Germany, they're given more chances. You know, it's a very open league. Defending isn't as good as it is in the Premier League, but you're still missing a few sitters over there. So it's not nothing new to him. I want to bring in Stav, and welcome to the show, Stav. So what's your thoughts on all this Werner situation? We're talking strikers. First of all, would you play an out and out striker tomorrow, or would you stick with this false nine business? And what do you think about the strikers that we're talking about, Werner, Giroud, and Abraham?
Hi, is it Cruz? He said that the big clubs don't tolerate top strikers or players, and he mentioned Jovic, right? Yeah, remember not long ago.
Yeah.
Well, did Jovic have to cope with being in lockdown without having a pre-season, with being stuck in bubbles and all that stuff? You can't dismiss it with playing without crowds, right? You cannot dismiss all this stuff when you're relating it to the new guys, right? If we had a crowds, the crowd would get behind him, they would lift him, and he would score. He had no problem scoring in the first 5-6 games, right? You look at the double against Southampton, controlled the ball well, finished well, beat players to finish it. But you have to remember, right, that he's not a lead striker. He's a second striker in the mould of David Speedy, Ida Good-Johnson, etc., right? And because he has to play in that three, right, he's got to create his own chances. His strength is a lead striker, putting him in behind the defence, and him only having to touch the ball once
Can
or
I stop
twice.
you there for 1 minute, Steph?
Yeah, go on.
Okay, yeah, I agree with you there because obviously he played with Paulson, didn't he? Paulson was the main man.
Yeah.
He was he played off him. So why do you think that our manager is playing him in a few games as an out and out striker when that's not his natural position?
Well, I don't think he is. I think he's just playing him in the front three, right? And then you play Havertz as a false nine, right? So he can be the focal point, yeah, when you're attacking. Right? He needs to play. I said before, right, about the system that we're playing in. It's solid defensively, but limits the attacks, right? It's okay saying play wing backs like whether it's Chilwell, Reece James, whoever, Callum Hudson-Odoi, right? But that's not their natural position. And our attacking players have been asked to play a system that doesn't take into account their natural position that they're used to playing. So these players that we're all criticising, right, not only have they come in and had to face all this other stuff, right, they've had to change systems twice, right? Werner was played out of position by Lampard when he played in wide left, right? Same with Havertz wide right. So these players have not had a chance to settle in what's natural to them, right? This is why I said the other night that at some point, right, we're going to have to change the system to utilise the strengths of our attackers. And right now we don't, because the whole point is that you get the two pivots. One of the pivots, usually Kante, he's playing, right, breaks from midfield and tries to play the through ball like he did at Liverpool, right, for example. Or you've got the wing backs bringing the ball forward, right? But there's no point a wing back bringing the ball forward and having whether it's Pulisic, Havertz, Werner, whoever in the middle, doing something that doesn't come natural to them. They're not naturally like there to receive a ball and finish, and you've got to do it quickly sometimes. If you're playing a striker, the best strikers don't mess about, do they?
So if that's the case, why don't we play an out and out striker?
Because I don't think Tuchel thinks it fits the system. I get the wing back bit, right, but he's playing people, right, who basically 9 times out of 10 either a winger with Callum Hudson-Odoi or left and right backs.
So, so that kind of goes back. Yeah, that kind of goes back to the question I asked before. Where does he think more defence first rather than going for the attack?
Could I add something to this? I really don't think this is a problem with the system. This is a problem with the midfielders. How many times have Kante, we love him to bits, and he's a midfielder that needs to be with other types of midfielders. How many times has Kante, Kovacic, even Jorginho, broken through, and because they are they're not capable or whatever it is, they turn back and pass the ball backwards, even when they're even right in the 18. Our midfielders are not effective. They're not supporting the attack. Look at Liverpool's midfield. Wijnaldum. I always struggle with that name. Wijnaldum. What he does with the one that's injured now, Henderson. They support their attacking efforts. And when the attackers aren't doing it, they're doing it from midfield. That's
Do you
where
know
our
what,
problem
Bobby?
is.
Do you know what? Do you think it's the players or the instructions? Because the reason I ask this question is that I see this a lot at Chelsea, where people don't drive at their man. Is it because they're too concerned about what they're going to do when they lose the ball, rather than what they're doing whilst they're on the ball? Because that is, Willian used to do that as well, didn't he? And there's other wingers who I've seen do that. The only one who's probably the most direct is Pulisic. But
It's
even,
down to the player. It's got to be down to the player. You know, these
why
are
are all of them doing it there? Because even
sort of
Hudson
players.
Odoi is doing it now.
It's the sort of players they are.
But they can't all be that sort of player. It's
I
got to
don't,
be
I
some
don't
sort
think
of
it's that
instruction.
as
Yeah,
well.
but the coach is not going to come and instruct you, oh, don't drive when you've got the opportunity to drive. That doesn't make any sense.
I know, but
And
are
how
they
many
thinking
coaches?
safety first and what they're good? Because I've just seen it too often with too many of our players for it to be a coincidence. We wouldn't go for those sort of players. And I've seen when players have gone to other clubs, they have a different sort of way of playing. Not Willian, but some other players who've left, and they do play a bit more direct.
Well, I don't. I'm not sure about that. What I am sure of is our midfield is not supporting the attack enough. When we had midfielders that were capable of doing that, when Essien sat in the midfield with the likes of Makaleli holding and Balak as well, it was an entirely different dynamic. My goodness, goals will be flying in from everywhere because they could score once they break through. But right
But
now, we have these guys playing the pivot. That's the reason he plays them in the pivot, because all they can do is more or less defend and keep the ball. That's what they do. They keep the ball so the opposition doesn't have the ball. And if the opposition doesn't have the ball, they can't score. But the trouble is, the midfielders themselves can't score. So we
yeah,
end up with this conundrum that if the opposition suddenly do score, we have no reply. All they have to
yeah,
do is just
yeah.
sit back.
Mm-hmm. I want to bring in Tyrone because he's welcome to the stream, mate, just to add your bit. Then after that, I just want to answer some of the questions that some of the people have been typing into the chat. So off you go, Tyrone.
Okay. Now, regarding what you're saying about the midfielders or the attackers not really taking, like, trying to drive forward, especially the midfield. In a way, I think it could be both the players, and it could also be the system or what they're instructed to do. Because remember, Thomas Tuchel is a type of manager that likes to hold the ball up, and keep possession and everything. But also, it's not only under Thomas Tuchel we're having this issue about midfielders not using the initiative. It happened under Lampard, and some people were asking why is it not happening? Why are they inconsistent? Because you have players who have done it in the past, especially under Lampard. Kante is an example because he did it against Liverpool. He did it against Man City at one point. So it's a matter of, it could be the system and Thomas Tuchel instructing them, because it can be a fear of losing the ball, and then all things go wrong because it's a double pivot, and if the double pivot is like the spaces are there, then maybe a situation might happen like what happened with Leicester City. And regarding Timo Werner, um, with Timo Werner, I think it's a situation, and I've been saying this for weeks now. I think his headspace isn't in the right place. I think it's a situation where he needs a break to think, to get back his headspace, and who knows, probably he can do what Jesse Lingard did, because he was struggling through a lot of things, but he took the chance of getting a break and just relaxing. And I get the point of why he plays, because of the assist. But in games like we had against Leicester City, only trying to get assists isn't going to be effective. If you get a chance, you have to finish it, and that was where it was lacking as well. So it's a situation where, I mean, he needs a break, and like Stav said as well, it's a situation. It's he's been playing in a bit at times in a position where it doesn't suit him, but I also think that, I mean, his headspace is in the right place. And I mean, people will be looking at him like, why could he not do what he's doing what he did again, what he did when he was at RB Leipzig? But I think it's a situation of, you know, he hasn't really adapted to the league, and like he said, he probably underestimated the league itself. So, you know, he's finding it a bit difficult.
I want to go on to this Kane story now, because a lot of people are talking about this breaking news today about Harry Kane telling Tottenham that he wants to leave, and the three clubs who have been mentioned, who've made inquiries, have been Manchester City, Chelsea, and Manchester United. And apparently, I was hearing before I came on that an unknown European club have inquired about him as well. I don't think it's any of the Spanish ones, bearing in mind Perez said they've got no money to spend on him. PSG, possibly Bayern Munich, with Lewandowski coming towards the end of his career. They're the two European clubs I think will be able to get him. So what do you guys think about this story? I don't think if out of everyone we're the bottom of the queue, I think unfortunately, and that's due to our relationship with Daniel Levy. That's what I think. I could remember Luka Modric back in the day. We've never done business since Levy's been in there. We've never done any business with Tottenham. So that's why. And plus, would Harry Kane risk the wrath of all the Tottenham supporters by moving to Chelsea? Again, probably not. So that's why romantic as it sounds, I love him at the club, but I'm not getting my hopes up, because I just cannot see this being possible. So what do you guys think? Are you of the same opinion as me, or do you think differently?
I don't think it'll sell to us. I don't think it'll come to us. I think the foreign teams, PSG, I don't think there's anything new in that. Been linked with him before. There's no way we're getting him. No way. Because Levy won't sell to us. He's not gonna. All the things you said, all the reasons you give. Right. At the end of the day, he's a Tottenham lad as well, through and through. Right, and he's not going to incur the wrath. And can you imagine Levy selling to us and what the Tottenham fans will do to him?
Exactly.
It's not happening.
Yeah.
It's not
happening.
It
won't happen. Anyone else differ? Or do you
I'd like to differ. I'd like to. I mean, what you're both saying, my head tells me you're probably right. My heart tells me football's a funny game. You know, I've seen Luis Figo go from Barcelona to Real Madrid, and you think moving from Spurs to Chelsea is a problem. You want to try that one? You know, they were looking to kill him. To this day,
I'll tell you a worse one, Mo Johnson. Remember Mo Johnson?
Oh, there you go. There you go. Celtic to
Rangers,
Rangers,
Celtic
or Rangers to Celtic.
Yeah.
Yeah, imagine that. So
the snake.
I just want to throw. Shall I say? Was that just throw something in the mix here? Harry Kane has openly said he wants to stay in the Premier League. He's also said he wants to stay, if possible, in London. I don't think Harry Kane, at this point in his career, would really bother too much about the Spurs fans. And let me tell you, if I think we're due a little bit of transfer kerfuffle, for want of a better word. And Kane could just be. I mean, it's not likely, but oh my God!
You think he's the next Ashley Cole?
I've started. Yeah, because I've done a video. I haven't edited it yet. I was in the middle of editing it before Baggy's stream went, and I started this one. But I was saying, what about this as for a scenario? Chelsea get Kane, and they need a striker, and then we give them Tammy Abraham. There you go.
Football violence will return to London.
That depends who the manager's going to be.
That should be a equal exchange. Then no money should change hands. Yeah.
Seriously, lads.
They're getting such value.
Seriously, lads. Let me tell you honestly. Don't never say never. Never say
No,
never,
I'm with
because
Bobby on this. If Real Madrid comes in, or Manchester City comes in, or Man United come in, or I don't know who else can come in, PSG can come in and put down 100 or 150 million. All Chelsea should do is put +1, and
Well,
and it's not about the money to the club necessarily. It's about selling Kane on it, on the prospect of playing for a club that will be challenging for top honors consistently. And what Bobby said, that if he doesn't have to move necessarily too far, it's something that will turn his head. He may or may not take it. That's a different question. But we should not preclude ourselves from being in the race. We should participate in that bidding
yeah, but
exercise.
it's
And
yeah.
if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. At least we put our
tried.
name in the hat.
Yeah, but you know what? Well, you know what, Carl? It's not the Kane may want to come. It's not that. It's this Levy. He's the problem, and it's not as if even if we bid more than somebody else, Levy as the business, even those businessmen, he'll prefer to take a 10 million loss on him rather than send him to Chelsea, and we've got history behind that as well. Because when we wanted Luka Modric, we went up to about
Listen,
40
I
million
agree
at
with
the
you.
time.
I agree with you. I agree
Yeah,
with you.
yeah,
But
and
we
I think
sent
they sold
Perisic
him.
to Arsenal. So things exceptions are made sometimes.
Yeah. And Max, we also have to remember that there is a huge possibility that the Modric situation was quite different. The Modric situation was a personal challenge to him, especially when Lucas started going on strike and all that sort of thing. It was a little bit more than just him coming to Chelsea. He felt Chelsea tapped up Luca, and Chelsea were disrespecting him, and so he just dug his heels in because he could. I think the Harry Kane situation may be different, and we also have a weapon this time. Never underestimate the fact that we have a woman doing our deals, and she gets her way quite often, quite simply, whether we like it or not, because she is a woman. And the hostility that Levy would have had towards someone like Peter Kenyon, or at the time, was it Ron Gawley? Yeah, at that time. I'm not sure he will have that same hostility towards Marina. So I think, just as Michaela said, we should go for it. What's the worst that could happen? He'll say no.
Yeah. James, I see what you say. We're trying to get through all those questions, mate. So I'm not ignoring you. We're just going down the list, though. I'll come to your question a bit later. Yeah. So anyway, what do you think? Bruce still around?
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you think of our chances then?
For Harry Kane,
Yeah.
I'm a bit with the other guys. I think it's probably going to be a bit too much. I think it's just a bit too close to home for Spurs. I get Daniel Levy loves a big price tag, and he might be swayed if it's a few million more. But I think with you, I'm agreeing with you a bit. I think if there's a 10-20 million swing in it, max 20 million, I think 20 million max. I think he would say probably not. If it's something ridiculous, everyone comes in at around 100 and Chelsea are 130, which is probably really unlikely anyway from a Chelsea business point of view. If they know everyone's coming a bit shorter, they're not going to, from a business point of view, think we'll put 130 down. But I think that's what it would take. That's what it would take to get the deal done. It would take that bit extra. And I don't think he'd accept it if it's any less than maybe 10, 15, 20 max. I don't think there's no incentive for him to take it. If he can get 100 plus million and not have like the guys are saying, the wrath of the whole of North London on his back. It's just not. I don't think I think he's smarter than that. I think he has to be smarter than that. That would be insane to sell your best ever player. In my opinion, they haven't had a player better than Harry Kane ever in the history of their club. To sell him to Chelsea with the history between us and them, it would be it would be a nightmare for him to handle PR-wise with the fans and the club.
Who
Yeah.
sold
So-
Sol Campbell to Arsenal? Wasn't it him?
No, it wasn't him. I think it was the previous owners who did.
Or
Yeah,
was
Levy
it
came
Sugar?
in.
Alan Sugar.
Yeah, Sugar. It was when Sugar was in charge of that administration. But question: I want to get Tyrone involved. He hasn't spoken for a bit. There's a concern over his injuries now, because the last few seasons now he's had problems with his ankle. Do you think to spend 100 million plus on him with those, and it's obviously he's 27, so he's still in his prime, but for somebody who's been out, was it 3 seasons now he's been out with ankle injury at some point in the season, do you think it's a sound investment?
Yeah, you took the words from me. Actually, I was actually gonna say that. I mean, on paper he would be a great signing, and with the factor if Daniel Levy would sell him to Chelsea. I mean, you have to consider that ankle issue that you always tend to have recently. So I mean, it's complicated, but I mean, a lot of people will take him. Some might say that they might just take him for his experience in the Premier League, which I think over time, I think saying Prem experience is starting to get a bit overrated, because I mean, if you look at it and say someone is Prem proven or something like that, that's really a bit vague, because you have a lot of players who were quote unquote Prem proven, but they never made it, like Danny Drinkwater and players like that. But I mean, if you think about his injuries, I guess in a way that would be a big factor. But if you take him around for the sake of experience and everything, then I guess yes.
Okay.
Just to add to that quickly, I think in the last 3 seasons, has he still not got over 30 goals? What,
He's
minimum
still been
25?
prolific. Yeah, he's still been prolific.
So if you think about, if we had 25 goals from a striker this season,
Yeah,
we'd probably have won the league.
great.
We would
Yeah,
probably have won the
no
league.
doubt.
So I think even with his, like Tyrone saying, even with that, just even if you take him with the injuries, and we said every season he would be out for 6 weeks, but he would still score 30 goals. Those 30 goals now would probably still win us the league with all the other talent we have in the squad.
Yeah.
It'd probably still be enough to get us over the line.
Yeah, and the thing is as well, even though when he was injured, he's the top goal scorer at the moment, and he's also the top assister as well. So
Yeah, he's turned into a bit of a playmaker.
Yeah, so the stats are on his side, even though he was out for a little while. So
yeah.
Yeah.
So here's the one. I had Bobby sent me a message earlier. He said that we've inquired about him and Haaland. I haven't heard the Haaland story, Bobby, but he said we inquired about Haaland as well.
Yeah, I mean, that was I've picked that up in the rounds, that we haven't made inquiries about Erling Haaland.
Yeah, but Dortmund's are qualified for the Champions League. They did it on the last day. So do you think that would have an effect, because they want to hold on to him?
Yeah, I mean,
for another season at least.
They do want to hold on to him, and I think they've said they will hold on to him, if I remember rightly. But that doesn't stop us making inquiries. At the end of the day, if somebody serious comes knocking on the door, there's always the temptation to cash in. So, making an inquiry doesn't mean, you're getting him or not getting him. It's like Harry Kane. I think we should make the inquiry and be knocking on the door. You never know. It doesn't look likely, but you never know, especially if the player wants to come to us. If Kane himself makes the right noises, that will help Livy make the decision.
Yeah. All right, I'm just going to go around and ask you guys a question. Just give me one word answer. If out of Kane and Haaland, if we inquired about both of them, both clubs accepted our offer, and we could choose one, which one would you go for? So let's start with Mikhail, and then we go work around. Kane or Haaland?
Right now, probably Kane.
Yeah, Bobby?
Oh, that's a difficult one. Oh, okay. I'm going to gamble, and this is a gamble. I'll go for Haaland for longevity.
Okay. Ty?
Just to be different.
Yeah, I would have to say Kane.
Stav,
Kane.
Cruz,
I'd go Haaland.
Ireland. I'll probably go Kane, just because he's proven Premier League. Yeah, so that's what I'll go for. I just want to address something. Go on.
Ooh. Apparently there's a report that Antonio Conte is leaving Inter. So do you think that probably could open a door for Lukaku?
Possibly.
You could open a door for him to go to Spurs. I've been hearing that. No, I'm serious.
Ooh. Okay.
You know you've got Leighton, boy.
Yeah. I want to address. James has been answering some questions. But you mentioned about Bob Campbell. Yeah, obviously, his glass. I'm not sure the glass is. He wants to ask you, Stav, because I heard Tyrone. Your video. You said that Kepa's starting tomorrow. Is that tomorrow?
Tomorrow?
Sorry.
Based on the FA Cup performance?
Or was it the FA Cup you were talking about, your video? I saw something come up on my notifications. I'm not sure whether it was a notification for the FA Cup, Tyrone, or the league match.
No, it was the FA. It was the Kepa.
Oh, it was the
FA Cup one, yeah. Because
Tuchel
said that Kepa was going to start. That's why.
Oh, I see. I think the notification just came out late on my phone for some reason. Okay, so there's a question for you, Stav. Does Kepa, James is asking, should we play Kepa tomorrow? That's to you, Stav.
No. I've been quite clear that at this current time, Mendy's number one. I just don't like the way people want to hang Kepa out to dry for everything. I've seen people blame him for the last 2 games. Right? I might take your comment on board about the height and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it was unfair blaming anyone who blamed him for the FA Cup are wrong. He didn't do anything. He didn't do anything wrong. He couldn't do anything about that one.
Well, someone just said, I think, Mikhail, right? What after the FA Cup? So he obviously blames him. Can I just make one point?
Who did?
No.
Someone just said no.
No. Hang on.
Mikhail didn't blame him.
Yeah, I meant it that after the FA Cup performance, I don't see an argument for keeping him out necessarily. He didn't play badly. There was a short. There is I don't know what the right word is. No pun intended, but there is a shortcoming with his reach. But that's not his fault necessarily. That's just what the player is. Would Mendy in the exact same scenario have a few inches more of reach? Probably. Would Mendy be in the same position? I don't know. Nobody knows. Mendy wasn't there, so we will never know. But he didn't play badly. So I don't see any reason for saying that because of FA Cup we can't play him anymore. I think he played decent. I think we lost the game because we didn't score goals. I'm always going to give in my planning for any game, I would always give the opposition 1 goal at least and say, okay, how are we going to prepare this game to score at least 2? That's just normal common sense. And we had no ideas.
Very good point.
We had no ideas last time out. Why we came close, but it was too little, too late.
Okay, I've got a point in response to that, right? I agree that we have to score more goals. That's a standard thing in football. You always have to score more goals than the opponent, right? I've said, and people are blaming the midfielders, right? Yeah, I've said even tonight that the system doesn't suit our attacking players. They're being asked to play a system that isn't what they're used to, right? I'm not criticising Tuchel because he chose to try and make us solid and hope that we create. I know we create a lot of chances, right? But there still have to be chances that, take the Real Madrid game, for example, where we wasted 3-4 chances, right? The ball was hit low, wasn't it? Right? And Courtois saved them. So then you play the Arsenal game Havertz is clean through and skies it, right? Does nobody think that that was in the back of his mind, that if he played it on the deck, the keeper might save it, and he was trying to put it over him, right? It would have been better to have tried a delicate chip to commit him and try the delicate flick over the keeper, right? But there's a lack of confidence in the attacking players in front of goal because they're playing in a way that doesn't suit them. Now, you've been all said tonight regarding the midfielders, right? That they don't score enough, they don't create enough, they don't this, they don't that. You can, and then I've heard names mentioned. Sorry, you cannot compare Kante, right, and Jorginho, and even Kovacic, right, with the likes of Essien, Ballack, Di Matteo, even Poyet, right? They were totally different types of midfielders. Even Henderson and Wijnaldum.
I would take one Mata over one of these because Mata had an eye for goal and an assist in him.
I'll take Oscar as well.
Yeah, but I'm talking about players who play regular with looking to score goals, right? They were totally different. They were totally different midfielders compared.
Stav, just out of curiosity, you've mentioned the system several times. I'm just wondering, what system do you think we should change to?
Yeah,
That would be
I
more
agree.
effective?
Yeah,
This kind of goes nicely to this question by Z Babylon. Says, do we change the formation for next season, or do we still play this way?
It depends who he's going to sign, doesn't it? I accept that he doesn't necessarily have the belief in all the defenders on a solid basis, right? I accept that. Marquinhos would definitely improve us, right? De Ligt would improve us. Varane would improve us in the centre, right? Aspie at most has got one more season, right? But he's going to become a bit part player at some point, right? Chilwell, okay. Alonso, forget him, right? As I said the other night, as soon as he gets 2 or 3 games under his belt, he becomes too comfortable and just settles into a stride that doesn't suit a quick counter-attacking system. And he can't defend. End of story. He cannot defend no matter what. That's why it was a mistake for the cup final to play him, right? The 4-3-3 system can work with the right personnel and disciplined personnel.
Yeah, agreed.
Right?
Agreed.
That's the difference, right? I think I mentioned it last night. People are saying about Ziyech. I said it this afternoon on Baggies, right? Ziyech, he can either play wide, right, or he can play wide right in the midfield 3, which allows him to ping the ball forward, say into Giroud or whoever the new striker's going to be, right? If like tomorrow, if you played that, right, play Kante in the middle as a holding, play Mason next to him because he is quite capable of closing people down. He has got a good press, and if we're not in possession, you can then switch, and then Mason and Kante can like sort of play a double pivot, right, without the possession. But it also means that Mason can drive forward. Kante's got to be disciplined and just stay there. Yep, right. Ziyech can switch play from one side to the other, right? He's if you put Werner next to Giroud, you're going to then have Ziyech pinging the ball into them, right? One feeding the other, and I think they would make Giroud on his own, right? He
gets isolated. He needs someone.
Yeah, he gets isolated. Yeah. He's a bit immobile, right? But if you're putting the ball forward, Giroud's going up in the air every time he jumps right and flicks it on beyond the defence for Werner or Pulisic to come in behind.
So you're going back to the old-fashioned,
and then
like
Werner, right? And then you've got Werner and Pulisic. They're quite capable of switching sides. Or if you want Havertz, but if Havertz is going to play, he's got to add a bit more strength and oomph to his
And
game.
aggression.
At the
Yeah,
moment,
definitely.
and aggression, yeah. At the moment, his game's about touch and guile, right? It's up to obviously it's up to the manager. He can play Kovacic and Kante if he prefers that. But the reason, and I've seen Ziyech do it for Ajax, right, in the Champions League as well. Right, you got to remember that Ajax went to Madrid and put 4 past them, right, after they'd lost 2-1 at home to them, and they went to Madrid and put 4 past them, right, and the vast majority of chances involve Ziyech in one way or the other, yeah, and Ajax play a similar system at the front. They move a lot and they swap a lot and they change a lot, but they still have a target man, right?
I think
If you're going to play
he had a good understanding with Promise, and
I
Promise.
was about to say, yeah,
it was
that's it.
telepathic. Like he would just hit it, and Promise had a knack for staying onside and getting to the ball still. And
you know what?
Werner doesn't fill you with confidence there.
Yeah, and you know what? I mentioned this. I was on Baggy's call briefly this afternoon, and that's why I mentioned this about finding the right chemistry, because at the moment none of our players are used to the movement of the others, and that's because we change so constant. We're always changing the team, so they're not getting used to the runs, etc. So that's why it looks a bit disjointed at times. I also want to bring Cruz in, because Cruz, I think you wanted to say something before about the formation or the system.
Yeah, it was Bobby. I think Bobby just asked about, because obviously Stav said he wasn't too sure about the system, and I was just wanted to say, what system did Stav think we should be playing? Because I agree with what a lot of the guys are saying about the midfielders don't chip in, and I've been saying that for years. Again, like I said, I don't think it's a new problem for us. I think the only midfielder that you look at from our whole squad that could probably score goals is Mason, and I think his target for the next season will be to up his output, because I still think he doesn't score enough goals or assist enough. But I think that would be his target for next season, to probably get into the double figures, maybe the 15 plus for goals or assist. But yeah, I just think I'm not sure exactly what system would benefit some of these players. I don't think Timo Werner is good enough to build a system around him. I don't think he's technically good enough to build a system around him. I wouldn't think, next year we need to build a system around Timo Werner. I wouldn't put him in that category. Or maybe Havertz, maybe you'd say there might be a system where he could show his skill, but I wouldn't build a system around Timo Werner at all.
Yeah. So what do you guys?
I'd said earlier. Sorry, Max.
Yeah,
just quickly. I'd said earlier. If you follow ice hockey, I'm from North America, so ice hockey is a thing here, and in the Eastern Europe, I guess ice hockey is played. Actually, ice hockey is played all over Europe, anyways. In ice hockey, you play lines. And when I look at our, so you take a whole line out, you take 3 players out and put 3 players in. Why do you do that? Because those 3 players are used to playing together. So they have that chemistry developed. You do not tinker with that line. When they play, they all play together. When they come off, they all come off together. So looking at our attacking options, we have like 6 attacking players and 2 spots or 3 spots, whatever you want to call them. It's almost begging for that kind of a line system where we only play 3 of these guys together, so that they get used to each other for a bit, and same for the other 3, so that there's some chemistry at least, and then they can start interchanging over time.
Here's something for tomorrow, which I'm toying with for formation for tomorrow, which would trick Leicester a little bit. I know, Stav, you said you didn't like Reece James as the right centre back, but how about having Reece James tomorrow at right centre back in a back 3 with Callum Hudson-Odoi as the right wing back, and then sometimes we can switch it to a flat back 4. And out of possession, we can go back to the 3 at the back, because I thought he played that role pretty well. It wasn't him, because he had a great game, I thought, on the FA Cup. It was more Azpilicueta playing that role, didn't offer us anything going forward. That way, we could have Callum's direct running at the Leicester defence, give us a different avenue of attack. And we've got Reece James there as cover, and Reece James can, the balls that Ashby plays from that position, from the right centre back, he can still whipping across from that sort of distance because he's got good delivery. What do you guys think of that?
Technically, when we play Cho at the right wing back position, technically we are playing a back four at that point because he's necessarily not defending at all. So everybody else has to move over to cover.
Yeah, I think what we're missing here is that we often in-game switch to a flat back four. That's why, is it Jesus, when we played Man City? That's when, and he got the better of Christensen. At that point in the game, we were at back four. And once he beat Christensen, that was it. We were exposed. So we continue to transcend systems as the game goes on. I'm not sure systems is the issue. I'm not even sure playing a consistent strike force is the issue. I think we've played Werner certainly consistently enough, maybe with different partners. But, how do you legislate for the goals they miss? Some of those chances missed by Havertz, even Mount. It's got nothing to do with the systems. Totally. And everything to do with the players' heads.
Yeah, decision making as well. Yeah, poor decision making. Yeah.
So the answer has to be, just as we've said, put a Giroud in there, an old head, a big game scorer, and get us on the score sheet. I think once we start getting on the score sheet, somewhere along the line, there's hope for these guys to calm down mentally in front of goal and do what we know they all can do. Havertz, some of the goals he misses is ridiculous because when you see him and some of the things he does on the ball, his talent is sublime. He just needs the finish. They all do. Even Mount, somebody just said Mount has to get his numbers up. That's true. He really does. They're all to blame. Even Ziyech, someone's talking about how Ziyech played in Ajax. He's not really firing as he should. And this is yet another thing. It's not just their heads, but it is to do with the season. They've come to a new club, a new country in a peculiar time. And it's had its effect.
Exactly. I was just about to ask the next question is, after a full pre-season under their belt, a little bit of confidence, do you think the same personnel would be a lot different next season? Do you think they'll be firing on all cylinders? Because I think it's a confidence issue.
I do.
I don't.
Look at what's his name? Pulisic. Last season, before he got injured, Pulisic was banging away goals for fun. All of a sudden, this season, Pulisic is missing a few chances. It's got to have something to do with the circumstances of the season.
Pulisic just hasn't had a run of games in his preferred position. He's been the team player. He plays wherever he's told to play. So if we had focused on Pulisic this season the way we focused on, let's say, Werner, Pulisic would have probably produced better than he has. I'm not going to pick at Pulisic's season for whatever the reasons were. He did not, reach the potential that we hoped he would for production. But I'm excited for next season and hoping to see that. But I do get the feeling that Tuchel overthinks the forward lines, trying to accommodate Werner when he's off form. When he's off form, he needs to go sit on the bench. Let somebody else take that spot and do something with it. Same goes for Giroud. I haven't seen Giroud play badly. Yes, there is an argument that he cannot play 90 minutes and run. Okay, fine, then put him on at 60-65 minutes, but give him that much time so he can actually get with the pace of the game, and there's time to actually give him 3, 4, 5, 6 crosses that he can maybe try to convert 1 or 2 for us. Sending him in with 8 minutes left in the game or 9 minutes left in the game, it's panic stations by then.
100%.
It's not the same game.
Yeah.
True. I mean, that was a mistake. And clearly, even Tuchel was panicking at that stage.
Yeah.
And it showed.
Yeah. Guys, I'm going to have to wrap up in a few minutes because, as I said, this was This was an impromptu stream because I just filled in for Baggy who's having technical difficulties.
Yeah,
But
I love that Bobby face reveal a while ago.
Oh, that's you showed your face for a minute, Bobby. First time ever, I think.
Did I?
Right.
In bed.
Yeah.
He's laid in bed.
Right. So I just wanted just one more question for each of you before I wrap up, and I'm going to put you all on the spot now. Right. We're going into the new season. Okay. And formation. And what sort of team would you have? What personnel would you have in your team for next season? What formation would you play? And what if we can? Who would you buy? If realistic buys, for obviously, like not Kane or Harder. I don't think there's a realistic. Who do you think we can realistically get? And what formation would you play? Mikhail, do you want to kick off?
I honestly, I mean, deep down, although I'd love to see one of Haaland or Kane or some of these big names come in, I don't see it happening. So I'd rather focus on midfielders that can score goals for us. So I don't know what that means. It could be a winger, it could be somebody that plays centrally. But if you look at what Tielemans did to us, if you look over at Man United and what their guy does week in, week out, like something's wrong with our scouting department that we just keep passing by those kind of players consistently. If you look at even Kante came from Leicester. We're looking at Madison probably, like another Leicester player. So what are they doing that they consistently keep getting midfielders that are at a different level to whatever our scouts go and find us? So for me, I don't necessarily care what position they play as long as they know where the goal is.
Okay, Bobby.
I think the secret to the midfield is probably going to lie in us bringing back some loan players. I'd like to see Bakayoko get another shot. Bakayoko does have a shot in him, and he certainly has physicality in him. Whether he has the passing skills is another matter. But I think we need two midfielders. As for strikers, apart from the big names that have been mentioned already, that most people tend to think we won't get, and are probably right, I can't think of anybody else. Can't think of anyone else. So if we can't get any strikers in, then we have to start tempting people like what's the Villa boys? What's his name?
Ollie Watkins.
Ollie Watkins, and looking at that level of striker to come in because they could do a good job. We just need people that can finish. That's all.
All right, Tyrone. I know you like the Nigerian boy from the Belgian league, don't you? Can't remember his name.
No. I'll probably go with well, he's a bit young. So I'm not sure a lot of people would agree with this, but I would probably go for Dusan Vlahovic from Syria. As a forward, if everything else fails. And yeah, I agree with getting a midfielder because we need that creative midfielder. So I probably would probably say like a Locatelli. Verratti is another name. I'm not sure how true that is, but I think a midfielder is important. And like a defender, probably because Zuma is probably might leave. And there's lots of reports that some other defenders might leave. But you also have players who are coming back from loan. So it's complicated. But I think having another experienced player who's probably not in their 30s, because you do have experienced defenders that are not in their 30s. Probably like we're linked with Varane. I'm not sure, probably Varane. But I think, and also a formation that I would probably say is like a 4-2-3-1, because I think Thomas Tuchel's plan might be using a double pivot, and in that formation it will allow you to have a double pivot as well. So
yeah, okay. Stav?
Nothing.
Nothing.
That's
Okay.
isn't it? I've already said it, haven't I? Like someone like Tony, Ollie Watkins, Marquinhos in defence. It's okay us saying get a goal scored in midfielder. Who? Goal scored in midfielder. I'm open to suggestions.
As Mikhail said, that's for our talent. That's for we're not scouts. That's for our scouts to try and find one.
Yeah, but
Madison's been talked about today, so don't know. I want to bring Alex in. Does someone want to drop off? Because I'm only on for a couple more minutes, Alex. So I'll bring you in. Does someone want to?
Yeah, I can drop off, Max.
Okay, then cheers.
I'll drop off, guys.
Good
I'll
night,
drop
guys.
off.
So thing's
I'll have
gone.
to run anyways. Thanks, Max.
Yes,
Stabbers gone now. Anyway.
Cheers, guys.
Yeah, Cruz, it's your turn now.
Yeah, I think it's quite telling that nobody mentioned that we have a striker in Werner and that he should maybe perform next year. And also, everyone's mentioning we need a goal scorer midfielder, and I think it's quite telling that no one's even mentioning the one we just paid £75 million for.
Yeah.
So it's so it's quite telling because when I say I don't see these guys getting it right, and then obviously there's a rebuttal that like everyone said they've been through this, they've been through that, they haven't had this, and even after a new season, who would you see doing it? And no one's saying, you know what, I really think that Havertz can do what Bruno's doing, or Havertz can do what Madison's doing. It's like everyone's kind of forgot. We've kind of written these guys off. Deep down, you can feel like people don't really believe it. It's something people are saying, but let's be honest, we're watching these guys and you don't think. We're talking about signing guys from different countries and trying to find new midfielders, but we just signed somebody last year for £75 million who's scoring goals in the Bundesliga.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know, maybe subconsciously, like I said, as fans, it's commendable that we want these guys to do well, but we've been watching football years. We're not scouts. We're not people who get paid to do this. We watch football, but as much as we underrate ourselves, we do know what it looks like. We do know what a proper player looks like. As much as we're not professional scouts and stuff, we do know what we're used to seeing and movements and confidence. And when you're looking at some of these guys, you can just see they haven't got it. So I'd probably sign a new midfielder as well. But the other guys would go the other way. People would be going on loan potentially, but I think we need goals from midfield. My one would be Mason Mount next season. I've been very critical of him earlier on this year, but I think he has stepped up towards the back end of the season. But I would love to see his output shoot up to a Grealish level or a Bruno, somewhere close to Bruno. I don't know if he'll ever hit those Bruno De Bruyne numbers, but I would love to see him hit the 15 mark on assists and maybe 10 plus goals. No penalties included from our open play, because some of the guys were saying we're lacking from open play. But I would like to see some of them guys step up a bit.
Yeah, it's a great point. Especially the point about Havertz, because he was brought in to score goals. A lot of people are comparing him to the next Frank Lampard and he's got a good finish on him. I think with a bit more confidence, and if he just puts a bit more power in the ball, sometimes he can turn out to be the goal scoring midfielder.
Yeah, that's inconsistency.
Yeah. So Alex, you just joined as we're coming to an end.
Yeah, no worries.
I'll just put you on, because what we were just talking about to close the stream was, what formation would you want next season, and what players do you realistically see us bringing in that can improve the squad? What areas do you need?
Formation-wise, I don't really care. If the formation wins games and it wins a title, I don't really bother. I think I trust in Chico to kind of get the best formation for the best out of most of the players. And as far as transfers, I think we all know that we do need a striker. I think the striker is the most important part on our squad, I think, at the moment. And I still think that we still need that kind of ball-playing defensive midfielder, and maybe even a winger. I think those centre-backs, yes. Centre-backs also. Look, it really just depends which two players we'll get and also what formation Chico will be thinking of playing. If he plays this type of formation, then it'll be these type of players. If he plays that formation, then those type of players. So it's going to really depend on the formation to know what type of players we'll know that he will want. But yeah, look, I think he's also going to get maybe players that can be versatile. So it really just depends. It really depends.
Yeah, I'm surprised Nobody has said about leadership. Everyone's saying about we need goal scorers and everything. I think we need more leaders in the team.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. So for me, somebody like a Declan Rice, I know it's not everyone's cup of tea, but he's a leader, and he's and I think if we can get somebody like a Marquinhos, if he wants to have a new adventure, he's another one. I think he's got those leadership qualities, and he's got the left-sided defender who can
Harry
work
Kane,
well.
you know, Harry Kane would be perfect.
Harry Kane would be perfect.
And that's the thing too, because he's a leader as well.
He's a leader.
It's just that would be allowed to get him. So it's that's the difficult part. Declan Rice is possible because I mean he loves Chelsea. He has
if we want Declan Rice, he comes to Chelsea. He
loves Chelsea still. He has made it very clear.
And that's the other thing. Not only is he a leader, he loves the club, and that's two assets that you want. Because that's what John Terry loved the club, and he was a leader. So we need somebody like that. And I agree with you, Alex. Another ball playing midfield, someone from the pivot role who can do a bit of everything.
For example, like
a Verratti would be great.
Jorginho is just he's good, but I never think he's ever gonna reach a level where it can be a very high performing level. Like he's just under, and I think we do need, or even not even a ball playing midfielder. We need someone who can do a bit of both. We need like a player that's a bit like Kante, who's a good holding mid, but is also really good on the ball. So it's just kind of
Marquinhos because you get a 2-in-1 because you can play centre back, and I remember Tuchel played him as a DM. So
and someone who can just put that final ball through on a consistent basis and give us more assists from deep, like what Fabregas used to do. Yeah, you can score goals too. Yeah, so that's it. Anyway, guys, I'm going to wrap it up there. Thanks everyone for joining. Thanks for all the people who were on the panel. And so obviously a big match tomorrow. Hopefully we'll get our revenge on Leicester and that Amati. I didn't discuss Amati.
Yeah. I hope if he plays, we see some yellow cards.
Hopefully we'll discuss Amati after the match tomorrow if we can get that victory. As I said, impromptu stream, but there we go. So Harry Kane, fingers crossed. We can dream.
I think guys, I think it's gonna happen. I've got a feeling. It's been a crazy 2 years, man.
It's surprising. You just see a picture come up saying with him having a shirt in his hand.
Don't expect next month you're gonna see on Sky News or breaking yellow in the yellow boss breaking news Sky Sports Harry Kane. Look, man, it's been a crazy year and a lot of crazy things happen. And look, man, I'll give you one good reason to maybe why if Chelsea paid the money, Levy would sell to us. He needs money at the moment because of the new stadium they built and
they're not in the Champions League as well.
So I think that will play a big part. I think because of the new stadium money and the rebuild Tottenham might have to go through. But yeah, I'll leave it there.
Yeah. So Roman, you know what you need to do. Yeah. So let's
get the money your yacht as well. Get money your yacht.
Exactly. All right. Cheers, guys, and I'll see you tomorrow.
See you in a bit.
Thanks. Bye.